My father's was involved in hockey his entire life, so obviously my entire life he was probably back in Vancouver when he was coaching, and I was 6 or 7. But my biggest recollection of starting would have been back in San Diego when the Gulls came. My father came with an expansion team in the Western Hockey League, and that's when the first time I saw him in action, so to speak, where he was the coach and general manager. He put together the Minor Hockey Association in San Diego, started it from scratch to where it is today. He also was involved with the first hockey team in San Francisco in the early '60s, and so he was a big factor in hockey in California, which a lot of people don't realize. The LA had a Western Hockey League team and then into the NHL, but whether it be in Northern California or Southern California, he was a very instrumental part in hockey being popular and getting the grassroots levels. Winning the Stanley Cup as a player for the Red Wings in 1950 was obviously anyone who's involved in the National Hockey League or in hockey in general wants to win the Stanley Cup. My father was extremely proud of the fact that his name was on the Stanley Cup, or the family's name was on the Stanley Cup. Ironically, when his name came off when he took his ring was the year before I was fortunate to win the Stanley Cup. So the McNab name never came off from 1950, and it will be on for another 50 years or so. But his really love for the sport and the league, the Stanley Cup obviously meant everything. And winning it, he remembers everything about the journey for the team that year. I think my dad deserves to be remembered for the loyalty. He believed in certain things, and it's part of the game that we've lost a lot of. He was a big believer. He had a poem above his desk. It was called "Loyalty" by Albert Hubbard, and it was just a poem that reminded everybody that to work for a franchise. He believes so strongly in everybody working together. And I've never met anyone in the sport, even today, who doesn't tell me how much they respected my father as a person. And I think in this game, or in all of sports now, that's something that's lost. And I think that he deserves to be remembered as someone who was a gentleman in the game, and the stories that everybody has of him were always positive. And if you talk to anyone in the game, everything that they say about Max McNab is extremely positive, and how much they liked him as a person.
In 1944 and 1945, Max McNab served in the military during World War II. Upon his return, he played 1 season with the Regina Caps before pursuing his NHL dream. Beginning with a few short stints in the United States Hockey League, International Hockey League, and American Hockey League, McNab made it to the NHL to play for the Detroit Red Wings, winning a Stanley Cup in 1950. Back problems ended his NHL career and ended up as coach-player of the New Westminster Royals. Following his playing career, McNab went on to become coach, GM, or president of several WHL and NHL teams and leagues, including GM for the 1982 Team Canada.